Hello, and welcome back to the Sims 4 100 Baby Challenge on the Monstrositeez channel, of course. We are playing Muriel Pan. I still have my very first matriarch, and she hasn't passed away yet. I haven't played in a very long time either, and I forgot to turn on my audio, so this is completely voice-overed. So first off, I started doing potty training and went on a cooking spree since the fridge was empty. Couldn't help but notice my evil daughter wrecking the dollhouse in the backyard, and she was completely happy about it. Just look at her smug little self. So happy. And before I completely forget, for those of you who are interested in the challenge, I will throw the rules up right here. Feel free to pause because we're getting back into the game. I severely need to redesign this house. I'm really tired of jumping up and down when I need to put my kids to sleep, and the design of it just looks really boring since it's just a box. I'll have to build up a new house off screen so you guys don't have to suffer with me, but for right now, this is what you're gonna see. For the meantime, it's time to get my Wendy girl's book reading skills up so she can move out of the house, since she is far overdue. I'm doing this because she needs to be sunproof or she'll just die. Well, how about that? Looks like we're getting another toddler. Let's see what he's going to be. 1, 2, 3, and we have another mean child. Anyway, moving on. Saw my toddler escaping the house. This is going for a wander. Looking good, kid. Phew, that was a workout. Riker's cute. By this point, Kristen was an A student, so it was time to age her up. And she got the slob trait, which I thought was really interesting. So, this is Kristen. Since she was a slob, I decided to give her patchwork type of clothing and mismatched socks and so forth. I figured since she might be getting into a lot of trouble and getting her clothes ripped, that mom just stitches patches all over her clothing instead of buying her new ones because she knows that she's just going to ruin them later on. I thought she was cute, and I gave her glasses because I didn't want her to be like her sister where they're more decorative. I want her to have them as if they were something she needed to use. And that's Kristen. I like her design. My toddler went on the biggest run of his entire life. He was going over to go get some birds, and he was starving to death. Don't worry though, he made it. Just barely. Wendy Bird just became a master vampire, and so it was time to build up her traits. But I noticed that I didn't have enough points. So it was back to the grind to making sure she was 100% sunproof. And boy, was the grind real. I also decided to age Wendy up, since she had already been an A student for quite some time and she was still a teenager. She ended up having the unflirty trait as her final trait. I also went ahead and gave her a job, just in case I forgot later. I decided on fashion designer. I got her last point. Now it was time to move her out of the house. I always struggle with moving out my Sims, so she went to go live with her dad. Sorry I didn't get that on camera. Now I was down to 4 kids, and I believe I was about to pop at any moment. And as literally as I started to think about that, I went to go put my little Riker onto the toilet and potty train him, and then suddenly, it was a girl. I called her Sarah. Ruben called. He was having a crisis and decided to call his little brother about it. I don't know how or why he decided to call his little brother about this whole marriage proposal thing, but it is what it is. I told him to just say yes if the time comes. And he had this to say. You're right. Of course, I should just say yes. What was I thinking? Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. I had spent a lot of time with the kids at this point. I did not get repregnant at all, which is something that was a little concerning, and it kind of slipped my mind for the longest time. So I was making sure that all the kids finished all their projects and got straight A's. And after all of that time, I finally decided to rebuild the dollhouse. I got so distracted I forgot to pay the bills. Ah, Professor Plum finally came to be. Just as a reminder, your matriarch needs to complete their aspiration. Now that I had finally remembered at this point, it was finally time to go man-hunting. I went to a bar at first, and there was literally just no one around. I waited for a pretty good while, but just decided to go find someplace else to be. Like a restaurant. So I arrived at the restaurant, and first things I laid my eyes on was the waiter. I figured as long as he wasn't somebody that I'd been with before, and he looks really close to a guy I've been with before, but he's different, I decided to go with him. As you've seen, I started snapping pictures of him to build our friendship up faster so it was easier to flirt with him. Then the flirting began. I actually struggled really hard with this because he constantly wandered off to obviously give customers seats. I thought it was really infuriating, but I got there in the end. Also, while I was on this hunt, I noticed that my kid's birthday was today as well. So, as soon as we get back, I will also be trying to age her up. I finally got him. So we went over, had our first kiss. Now it was time to bring him back to the lair. Or should I say, drag him back. So I brought this guy over, and he immediately destroyed the dollhouse. I mean, come on, man. That's not very mature. And all I could think was... And I also noticed that Professor Plum was starving, so it was time to feed him before he ate the guy I brought over. Not like I would have cared at this point, since he destroyed my dollhouse. But a challenge is a challenge, so I needed him. Which, thankfully, only took one woohoo session to get pregnant. Thank goodness, because I want this guy out of my house. So, Elaine got an A in class, so I decided to age her up. And when I went through her traits, she ended up being materialistic for her second trait. And I also needed to hang up my completed target onto the wall. I was playing with Professor Plum, and, well, I have a weird gardening bug, and he kind of just shrank away. So I decided to just get rid of Professor Plum. You will be sorely missed, Professor Plum. You were a good boy. Girl? I mean, it has udders, so here they are. Just a small little heap. Just like they were before. Thankfully, I did complete my aspiration, so I went ahead and started dressing up Elaine in all of her teenage clothing. I think she looks really exactly how you would expect her to look, to be honest. But I think I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. So, if you liked what you see, give us a like. If you dislike, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay notified for our next videos. And until the next one, this is Monstrositeez saying bye-bye!